Screen share, full screen, start screen. All right, guys. Welcome to the Meet and Shoot event, HiKey Lighting and Studio. As always, this is another member event, so it's nice, informative, and something we've always done is we don't really half-ass it, so hopefully you guys brought something to write down with or anything like that, and also feel free to ask questions while we're doing this. Everything we're covering is exclusively HiKey. This built on a couple other sessions we've had before, the last one being dramatic lighting, where we showed, we showed the subject in front of a black background. HiKey lighting is kind of the opposite. I'll go into a little bit more detail a little bit later. But as always, feel free to ask any questions. If I seem a little bit off a little bit, I was behind like a tailgate truck or something, and there was like a lot of fuel coming out of it. So I took some aspirins, but I'm a little bit under the weather. You guys know how it is when you're behind a vehicle that's leaking fuel. All right, guys. Welcome and introductions. I'm Trent. Chris is probably not going to be here tonight, but Jamie and Patrick are going to drop by later. We're the Meet and Shoot staff. As always, this venue, when we do these education courses, is provided by Mike from Photoplex. Always got to remember it or mention it because it is an incredible deal. For $50 a month, you get 2 hours here, and you get to become a member. It's not just this side, but the other side. You guys can talk to Mike a little bit later if you want to, and it's a full-fledged studio that you can use. It's not just a photo studio, it's a little conference area and so forth. It's a no-brainer, guys. Like, I've been involved with studios for a while. You know, we've had our own studios too, and it's just easier this way. You pay a nominal fee for any hours that you go over your $50 limit. It's $35 an hour after that. And so there's no really other studio in Atlanta where it's that cheap. And so that cheap with the same quality, with the same amount of space. The main thing is how high the ceilings are and stuff like that, and the fact that it's pretty much always available because it's 3 studios now. They painted the walls. I don't know if you guys know that, who are members here. So it's this side, that back side, that side, and for anyone who has big aspirations and plans, there's a drive-in garage over there. So if you ever want to, and is that part being done or? Yeah, they're building up another one too. So it's pretty much like if you get a membership here, if you want to shoot a Saturday, you can shoot a Saturday. You know, if it's booked, then he'll fit you in. It's pretty much like Mike does a really good job at negotiating that. And always, as always, we're sponsored by Aperture Rent. Love these guys. They're based both here and in Sandy Springs. Their headquarters in Sandy Springs. But essentially, it's a e-commerce based business. You rent lenses and a photography equipment and all that from them. The cool thing about that is, unlike people who are living in, Washington where they get shipped to them, you can go ahead and just pick it up either here or just pick it up right down in Sandy Springs. Use the code MEETSHOOT10 and you'll get 10% off. This is the quick thing I like throwing to everyone here. If you're curious about equipment, rent it. Try it out first. When you're looking at a 70 to 200, you're about to spend $2,200. It's worth spending $60 to use it for the weekend to see if you want it. It's more for specialized lenses. Oh, you're really excited about a tilt shift lens? Guess what? You'll probably do everything you want to do within that 3 days you have it. And it's not worth spending the $2,400 for a Canon 17 TSE, because that's how much it costs, because you think you need it, when everything's done within that 3 days that you rented it in, and it costs $60 to rent. The other thing, too, that I highly suggest to all everyone that I talk to, mostly it's summer, it's still within summer. If you're going overseas or you're going anywhere, rent the camera. They're fully insured. If you rent from them, it's a little bit more. Don't risk your own equipment. Just go there and rent it. And I have a lot of friends who went to South Africa, who went to China. They were like, hey, Trent, what lens should I buy? And I'm like, just rent everything you want for less than the cost of that lens. Be fully insured, have it for 2 weeks, and come back knowing if anything ever happened, you don't have to worry about it. But also, you could go there with a D800. You can go there with a 5D Mark III with a high-end lens, and it's still going to cost less than what you were going to spend there, and you're fully insured. Because if you buy a new lens and you go overseas, you're risking the new lens and your camera body and everything else. And so it's just one of those things. For anyone who wonders, like, oh, I don't really need to rent stuff, there's a reason why. So, all right, guys, your host, it's me. Some of you guys have seen this before. I've been a photographer for a while. I teach a bunch of things about photography. There's my bio. A lot of you guys know me. If you want to look at my website, I set up a new one about 4 or 5 months ago, and you can see my work here. I'm a portrait and wedding guy. You don't really see weddings up here because Jamie, Patrick, Chris, Elizabeth, and I actually started another company called atleventphotos.com. And because of that, you don't really see me putting weddings and all that. But for those who don't know, weddings are my main thing. I've shot 270 now. 271 is this weekend. So for those who don't know, that's what I do, and I don't talk about it that much. I do a lot of portraiture and do a lot of corporate events. Jamie's here. He's over there, and so he started that with me along with Patrick, Chris, and Elizabeth. So check out my website if you guys can. You can always see the latest work there. All right, so a little bit about Meet and Shoot, guys. There's a lot of new faces here, so bear with me for anyone who's been through a bunch of these before. What we are is it's a photography meetup group, but we're based on education and classes and lectures. We set that up, and we invite you guys in. So what we are is an organized photography meetup group based in Atlanta. We promise to deliver amazing amazing photo shoots, great workshops and classes, stellar models, and well-planned themes. Essentially, how I equate this, guys, is who here goes to eat out at a restaurant? Well, almost everyone here. Some of you guys probably know how to cook. Some of you guys probably know all of that, but you're going out for the convenience of having someone set up a nice meal for you, and you're going to pay for it. That's exactly what we are. That's what we do. We set up your meal for you. We create an atmosphere. We have a waiter serving you. Blah blah blah. This is all Meet and Shoot. You pay your fee. You come in and you get it. So how we equate it is we're pretty much like Ruth's Chris type food, but at Applebee prices. That's kind of what we are, even something higher. What's a better steakhouse now? This is the guy who eats out everywhere. So yeah. But at an Applebee's price, and you still get the quality there, but it's just the way we are. I don't know why we do that, but it's what we do. And so if you go to our meetup.com page, if you go to meetup.com and look up Meet and Shoot, you're going to find it. But if anyone needs a link later, I can send it to you. We always have cool shoots in the pipeline. I want to go ahead and apologize. It is wedding season. Chris also started a new job with a communication company, so it's lacking right now in comparison to what it normally is. Look soon. There's a lot of great events coming up, some pretty jaw-dropping stuff, so bear with us. Summer's always a little bit of a bear for us, only because every weekend Chris and I are shooting our own separate weddings and doing stuff like that, and mostly it's just weekdays that we have our days to plan on. All right, and so what's cool about tonight is what's called a member event. In 2013, we invented the membership program, which is essentially you pay $25 for the year, and pretty much if it says it's a member event, you can come. As long as you're a card-carrying, which we have no card, member of Meet and Shoot, you get to attend. And the main thing, here's the thing with it. Yes, we're providing education, but it's also you're among peers. That's the other thing. It's a networking opportunity, not for necessarily work, but opportunities that you guys can shoot with each other. Share, it's kind of scary. I say, hey, you can rent this studio for a $50 membership. The problem here is this is a lot of studio. If you can meet up with someone who's a like-minded individual, this is your chance to go ahead and work with them and also share the responsibilities of working with a model like Taylor, who's over there, where you guys can say, okay, let's find this model, let's divvy up the price, and let's work at this location together. And so something that we're always big about these memberships are the membership program is building a huge network of you guys talking to each other. And so before any event or any breaks, feel free to talk to each other. But essentially, Meet and Shoot membership brings some great privileges. We have events specifically for members, ranging from shoots, classes, and more. These events are for members only. We are also streaming the event. So pretty much the payment, the membership fee that you guys are paying for, is for small little things, but also for us trying to get our stream technology up to date. And so fortunately, if you guys miss one, you can go to any back member event and see the stream, or you can go ahead and attend any future ones. But as a little carrot dangling in front of anyone who comes to the event, we do a lot more in-house than we do on streaming online. Like part of today is if you brought your camera, you can shoot with Taylor a little bit. You can't really do that online. I'll never set up a camera so someone else can shoot, even though that would be kind of weird and neat. So I might try that one day, but no. But so we do have other shoots and member events, and so you do have to pay for it. The other way I like to like sort of an analogy for it is just because you're a Costco member doesn't mean you get everything at Costco free. You get to go there, and there are some benefits to being a member there. Sometimes you have to pay. So if you ever go to a meetup or our meet and shoot and it doesn't say member event, you're going to have to pay for that. But what I can go ahead and tell you is it's pretty much going to be 50% to 20% of what anyone else charges. It's a wacky thing. We've always done this, and for anyone who wonders, yes, we actually break even, or we actually profit. So it's kind of a weird thing where we're not losing money, but we have these events at a really affordable price. A lot of you guys have been there. They can go ahead and tell you. For anyone who's attended, we don't half-ass it. For anyone who's new here, just because I say it's like 25 bucks, a lot of people are shocked because they will go to an event that's $100 and get less than what they would get at our events for 25. All right, so this one's ending at the end of this month, guys. So book now when you have a chance. A summer special. We have a new office right down the street off of Highway 9, and essentially per session it's 80 bucks for me. Normally it's about 125. I think it was 140 this year. I don't remember, but it's an in-depth session covering anything that you want to cover. So pretty much you pay me 80 bucks, and I sit with you for 2.5 hours, and we talk about anything. It doesn't even have to be photography, but I don't know why you guys would do that. But anything, and I'm realistic about it, guys. Like my approach to it is I'll teach you everything you want, but you are carrying grains of knowledge in your hand, and the more you have, the more you try to learn, the more likely something's going to fall through. So I'll sit with you, and I'll talk to you, and I'll make sure, and we'll cover it. And but if it gets to the point where you're trying to fit too much in, I'll realistically tell you. So a lot of people who've done the session, I'll talk to them and say, hey, what would you like to cover? And we'll hit it. Do you have a good experience with that one? So it's really nice, guys. And the way I feel about it, I was self-educated. The only reason why I got a college degree in photography is because I have a daughter, and I didn't want her to think that you could succeed without a college degree. This is me being an ass as a dad. And so I know this is being recorded. She's going to watch this one day, and she's like, you're a jerk. But and so photography, it's actually one of those things that's better to learn on your own. And you do it at your own pace, but the only problem is when you're learning at your own pace, you kind of miss some of the things that that's really important. Or actually, what I've seen a lot as a one-on-one instructor is someone will know how to do something, but they'll take 25 steps to get there. And because they were self-teaching themselves, they don't realize that you can get it in 5 steps. And so one of the points for one of the things I do with these is actually not just educating you on new ways and stuff like that, but also consulting your efficiency. What do you know? Tell me, stuff like that. And then I'll say, okay, try it like this. And I've gotten a lot of great responses with that. So done that for a while. Contact me, and it's $80 per session, or if you get 5 sessions, you get 1 free. So you pay for 4 and you get 1 free. All right, so here's a couple extra things that are just fun and on the side. For at the office, something that's really neat is a lot of you guys know we work with a lot of models, and some of them love just posing in general. And so we have a figure drawing group that's based in our studio, and actually also here. If anyone is interested, the reason why I'm pitching this to you, it's really different because you guys are photographers, but if you're able to work with a model in any given scenario, it's to your benefit. As a photographer, yes, you're taking pictures, but you don't have to be a great artist. You can go there and you can just bring your iPad and do something abstract, but it really opens ideas. And also, the models that we use at these are the models that are at Meet and Shoot too. And so it actually allows you a way to go ahead and communicate with them and meet new models and meet new people while also attempting to draw if you want to. Like, that's how I am. Like, I used to draw, but I'm not as good as Patrick and a few of the other people. And it's just a casual, nice little figure drawing group that meets up at the new office in Alpharetta. And also, on the other end too, I'm mentioning it to you guys because you can win this. Pixel, a little Chinese company, they're one of a few what I consider knockoff companies. They would try to pretty much make a knockoff of a OEM brand like Canon or Nikon. They just released this flash. I'm one of 20 people that they sent to review it. My review's done. If you go to tcphotoblog.com, you guys can see it. Read it, but the reason why I'm mentioning is that mentioning it is if you read it and you leave a nice comment, you're in the drawing to go ahead and win it. I'm giving it away. I don't want it. And whoever gets it, if it's one of you guys in this room, if it stops working, I'm sorry because I used it in the rain. That's mentioned in the review, and it keeps on working. It's your chance to go ahead and win it. Let me see if I could go and show you guys. But yeah, it is a really thorough review. I don't know if any of you guys in here have read it, but it shows pretty much every weird possibility you can go using. The thing I love about this, guys, is it's just using a basic handheld flash. And so right here I'm pointing out, hey, I'm bouncing it off window blinds to create a soft light effect, stuff like that too. So it becomes eye-opening for people where they realize, wait a minute, he's shooting 51.4 with a flash with no modifiers on his camera. Also, let me see some down here. These are real-world examples, and like Elizabeth, this picture of Elizabeth doesn't seem like much, but anyone in here can do it because the flash is right on the camera, and I'm shooting at 51.2, so you guys can shoot at 1.8 at ISO 100 at 1/400th of a second. So I explained how I did it and why the flash was capable of doing it. So the cool thing about this review that I really enjoyed was the fact that it wasn't some dude talking like numbers or so on. When I first started the review, the thing I said, guys, was I want to break this thing. I have no allegiance to this company. I really don't give a shit, excuse the language. I don't care if they send me any other things. I'm just going to use it and hopefully break it. And I couldn't break it, and I used it, and I put it through everything. But the realistic side, too, is I did things where anyone could shoot like that. It wasn't like, oh, here's some magic. You need this. You need this. All you need is a person and your camera, and you can shoot it. And so I think you guys would enjoy that review. Check it out if you guys have a chance. And leave a comment and have a chance to win the flash. All right. All right, so the model for today is Taylor. Taylor, can I have you come out? And yep, later and towards the end of the day, guys, it's not much of a lecture, and it's not that long of a lecture. So you guys are welcome to shoot with her. We're going to take a break when we're doing the setup for the lights. So if anyone didn't bring their cameras, or if you left it somewhere, we'll pretend it's not in your car. You left it somewhere that's not around. You guys can go get your camera and get ready to shoot. If you guys do shoot a little bit, make sure to give her your contact info. But don't give her your contact info while you're shooting her. Wait a little bit towards the end, or wait till there's a little bit of a break. And if you can, please tip the model if you want. But most importantly, give her your contact info. She's amazing. We're going to use her for a fitness shoot. But her and Danielle were part of a gymnastics school, right? Cheerleading. And so yeah, it's pretty crazy. Her flexibility is insane. And she's just adorable. So, all right, guys. So, High-Key Studio lighting intro. What is this about? Here's some of the things that we're going to cover today, guys. What is High-Key Studio lighting? Where we use this lighting. How to start setting it up. Tips and tricks for high-key lighting. Questions and answers. In a case here, there's not a lot of PowerPoint slides. So it's one of those. Feel free to ask any questions you want. If it's something where I feel like it's going to be a long answer, I'll answer it just enough for you guys. But it's one of those things. Talk to me separately, and I won't sell the oh, I could teach that in a one-on-one thing. But if it is like, hey Trent, I love your high-key lighting, but now I want to do a photo booth for this wedding I have in September. Can you teach me that right now? No. I'll be like, set up something, and I'll teach you everything you need to know. But if it's like, hey Trent, I'm at the studio and I'm getting this wacky result. Is there a quick answer to it? I'll go ahead and answer it right then. All right, guys. So what is high-key studio lighting? The characteristics that define high-key lighting is very bright lighting that limits the contrast between shadows and highlights, creating a bright, friendly image. Essentially, both your subject and your background in a high-key lighting setup is pretty much lit. Where the shadow detail, you do see shadows on your subject. It's not completely flat, even though it does border on that. The idea behind high-key lighting is the fact that it's more uniform. High-key lighting was created in the 40s and the 50s when sitcoms were more popular, and essentially to save themselves some trouble because they have this little, like, think I Love Lucy, guys, or something like that, where they have a room. Well, if Ricky Ricardo's here and then he's over here, there's a problem if he's shifting from one light source to another. And so what they did is they made it an even light source throughout the whole room. Imagine it's a really bright day and you have a lot of lights in your room. Essentially, that's the idea initially. I will go ahead and admit this. High key lighting confuses the hell out of a lot of us, definition-wise. You go to Google, it says one thing. You go to photographers' websites, because there's a bunch of us who are out there on the web saying this is what high key lighting is. And so I actually even sat there, because I always thought, oh, high key lighting meant the background's really bright, and your subject's bright, and everything's bright, you know? And actually, that really is what it is. Who here knows how to read a histogram? Essentially, a majority of your information is on the right side, which means it's a majority of your information is on the bright side. That's what's considered a high key image. And so the characteristics of high key, though, that are really important is it tends to emphasize a very bright background, and also it's really happy-go-lucky. The personality, the lighting personality that comes from high-key studio lighting. Let me see if this is on the next slide. Oh yeah, because of the brightness of high-key lighting, it creates a friendly, approachable, and clean aesthetic look. Essentially, high-key lighting hides no faults. It's really flat, but it's not like you're hiding anything in shadows to take attention away. There's really no deep, gloomy drama. It's just more of what you see is what you get. So a lot of high-key lighting that you guys see, there's some fashion, but we're not talking we're not talking American Eagle or anything like that. We're talking J.C. Penney's. We're talking like Baby Gap and so on. Really, really friendly things. You guys have seen Amazon. Pretty much anything on white where you see everything is high key. Wedding photography, actually, a lot of people like doing high key lighting for weddings for the bride because of the friendly nature, or how bright it is and how good it looks. It makes the bride look that much more glowing, angelic. Pretty much, it's like a sweet, innocent type lighting. High key lighting is often used in product photography as it creates a sense of quality. Think Apple products. I'm not a big fan of Apple products, but almost, a lot of their stuff is shot on pure white. In portraiture, it makes a person look friendly, open, and not mysterious. It's particularly useful during weddings, where in a groom you could favor potentially something more dramatic because he's a guy, he wants drama. A lot of people find success doing high key lighting on the bride or so on because it creates, once again, that friendly look. All right, so finer details. Looking at this picture of Trini, the exact same subject, moving the light around, by default, or by definition on the internet, the right image is not high key. The left one is. And it's not the background that matters, it's the shadow detail. Do you guys see the difference in the shadows, guys? Where the right one is a little bit more dramatic shadow-wise and has a lot of depth. The one on the left doesn't have as much. The thing is, though, it's weird. I'm going to go ahead and mention this. It's a little bit different definition-wise. Some people will say the right image is high key. Does anyone here would say that? For those who've done high key before and stuff like that, is the one on the left what you guys consider high key? So it's wacky, but what I do want to note though is it's shadow detail. Shadow detail on your subject that's important for high key, along with the background. So it's taking two images that are pretty much shot within 5 minutes of each other and showing you the difference between the traditional high key and what's considered not online. All right, so who here doesn't know how to read their histogram? Anybody? Be honest with me. All right, so histogram is the most useful thing on your camera that came with the digital revolution outside of changing ISO and stuff like that. It is immediate feedback as soon as you take your photo of what's happening with it. So for those who aren't familiar, in the perfect middle of a histogram is everything that is exactly gray in the scene. All the way on the left of the histogram is pure black. All the way on the right is pure white. And so with a high key image, essentially a majority of your data should register from here to here, favoring this side over here. When you look at the scene and you look at the picture, a lot of that, even if you have black in the image or so on, you only have a small amount of data on the left. A majority of the information's on, on the right. And it doesn't have to be all the way on the right, guys. If it's all the way on the right, it could be a problematic image. And so what you want to do is, rather than center average, high key images tend to favor the right-hand side. For those who aren't familiar with histograms, one of the things that shocks a lot of people when they're first learning is there's no perfect histogram. The only thing I tell people when it comes to a histogram is, well, what I tell them is bulls in the pen. Down doesn't matter, up doesn't matter. Here's your right pen, or here's the right side of your pen, here's the left side. They're bulls in a pen. If they spill out on one side or the other, those bulls are running around knocking the shit out of people. You don't want that. So what you want to do is keep them within the pen. So that's the idea. Unfortunately, in high-key studio photography, you're going to have a lot of it spilling on the right. And so those who don't know, our digital photography is like slide film from back in the day. If you overexpose on the right, you cannot recover that data. If you underexpose, I don't know if you guys have ever messed in RAW. If you accidentally take a picture and you underexpose it, you could shift it to the right and get it. But if you overexpose it, once you try shifting to the left, that data is gone. That data is destroyed. That data that doesn't exist. And so when you guys are messing with high-key lighting, my suggestion is you're going to do think that you're going to do post-processing and try getting it too perfect, because if you're right on the cusp of having a perfect high-key image, as soon as you're slightly over, it's gone. Like the data is gone. So you want to possibly avoid doing it until you kind of nail it down. What you want to look for, most important thing in a high-key image, because this histogram's on the right. Does anyone here know how to turn on their highlight alerts on their camera? Canon shooters, it's called highlight alert. On Nikon, I don't remember what it's called. Is it highlights? Make sure to turn it on, because it's not your background that matters. It's going to flash. It's going to blink when your highlights are blown. It's the face details and stuff like that. If you have a specular highlight on your subject's face and it shows up, well, you don't want it to be blown out because you have to recover that data. Sir, can I get your name? Ashwin? Ashwin, you don't know how to read a histogram, so I'm going to give a quick general thing. When you have a scene, the darkest part of a scene will show up as data. The more it is, the higher it is on the histogram. The less it is, it should still at least be there. It shouldn't be perfectly flat. So in this case here with Brittany, she has a little bit of dark tones in the sense of her hair, in the sense of her shorts, but the majority of the scene is obviously pure white or within that color. And so when you're looking at your histogram, there isn't a perfect histogram. If you see, like, if you're taking a landscape and you look up and it's red and green and blue skies, your histogram's going to look like a hill, because the majority of your data is right in the middle. But if it's if it's the same landscape, but then there's pure white sky and this pure black building, like pure onyx building or whatever, then you're going to get a little bit of data on the outside. The thing is, it shifts per subject. So what you want to look at when you're shooting at your histogram is that it's not spiking on one side. If I look up and I see here yellow shirts, blue shirts, black shirts, and so on, I really don't see pure white shirts. So if all of a sudden I take a shot and I look at my histogram and it looks like this, something's wrong, because there's no pure white data in front of me. And so that tells me that something's off. It should be relative, the data should be a majority in the center and stuff like that. So a histogram is just a way for you to be able to see if things are close to what it should be. If it's too far on the right or the left, that's where you adjust it. And once again, it's immediate feedback. For those who here doesn't use its histogram, you don't want to use it all the time, but here's the main thing with it. Your LCD is lying to you. As soon as you go outside, your LCD looks darker. As soon as you're inside, your LCD looks 2 times brighter. And so if you judge your exposure based on your LCD, you're pretty much going to go home and realize I'm underexposed or I'm overexposed or something's wrong. Your LCD is good, but as soon as you also artificially enhance or decrease the brightness, you're taking away, your ability to know if that exposure is correct or not, unless you look at the histogram. All right, so on this next one right here, a majority of the information is on the right-hand side. Subject in front of a white background. It's considered high key, but also shadow detail. yes, the lighting's coming a little bit from the side, but the main thing is you get to see, you get to see details in the shadow. Where on this picture of Trini on the right, you could see a little bit of detail, but we're dropping a lot of that detail away. So one of the things that you'll see a lot in high-key photography is what's called a fill light. And a fill light fills in the shadows created by the main light. And so this is where we give you more information than you were expecting. We are actually going to talk to you about all the lights. The main difference in this one, guys, the dramatic lighting one. Who was here for the dramatic one? It was one light. We didn't complicate it. We showed this is the results. You get one light. It's amazing. Well, unfortunately, with high-key lighting, it tends to be a little bit more lighting intensive. It doesn't have to be if you know how to mess with it, but in this case, we're going to go ahead and say it is. A few months ago, we showcased it, and we showcased one light. In this case, we're going to show several. It's going to be about 3 lights or 4 lights to achieve consistent high-key results. Essentially, what you're doing with your lighting, guys, is you're creating this environment of light. You set up a light here, it covers this quadrant. You set up a light here, it covers here. You set up another light, and it covers here, and it evenly distributes light there. Think, what I want you guys to go back to recall this, if you're ever doing a high-key setup, think sitcoms. Think Friends, I Love Lucy. Watch them and be bored at the lighting, but understand that that's what people pay for. That's when you go to Olin Mills or when you go to Picture People at Walmart, when you go to the JCPenney lighting studio, it's not complicated. Here's a light, here's a light, here's a light, everything's lit. So if baby's over here, she's lit. If she's over here, she's lit. Sounds boring, yes, but guess what? The client wants that, and they want to pay you for that. So if anyone's ever in a situation where they're like, oh shit, excuse language, but oh shit, this family wants photos. It's not about drama sometimes, unless the client wants it. They just want a good photo of their child. And in that case, just light it. Light it from the front and create a environment of light. All right. So in a case like this, we'll go back to this slide. But something you'll know, actually, we'll go ahead and talk about this one now. You guys see A and B right here, and you see this guy right here in the camera. The main light, the key light, is that smaller one that's on the bottom right over there. And then you have a fill light, and then you have those 2 backlights. So let's go ahead and define those for you guys. All right, so your key light, your main light, what your exposure is based on. This is the most important part, guys. This is what I teach in the lighting class. Your key light is not always the brightest light in the scene. It's not. So a lot of people get confused by that. They're like, oh, the brightest light is always the one that's a key light. No. Your key light is what you are measuring your shot to. So does anyone here have a light meter? I don't use a light meter anymore, but essentially, if you go up to your subject, and it says ISO 400 at f8, whatever light's on them, that's the key light, and that's your measurement. And so in high-key photography, what it actually is if you measure this, it's actually brighter in the background in some cases, or equal, rather than darker. So if you measure f8 over here, right on your subject at ISO 400, these are arbitrary numbers being thrown out. When you go to the background, it measures f8, or it measures f11, which is even brighter, or it measures f16, which is 2 stops brighter. So your background is brighter than your subject, or it's within the same parameters. It's not darker. And so you have your key light, guys. Your main light, what your exposure is based on, and what you're metering. Your key light tends to be more powerful than all the other lights you have, but this is a maybe. All right, so next we're going to go background, and then we'll go fill. All right, so you have the light hitting your subject, which is your key light, and then you have to illuminate the background. When you're illuminating the background, that's your background light. Pretty obvious. Any light that you use to light the background is a background light. We're going to get into a lot more detail there in just a little bit. All right, so then there's the fill light, a supplemental light that uses to fill in the shadows of your key light. This light tends to be around the camera and about 2 to 3 times less powerful. Here's where you'll see a lot of people set it up interestingly wrong. It's arguable, but this is how I was taught. This is about how the proper way to do it. When you have your light, your key light, let's say it's 45 degrees from your subject. For those who know, don't answer. For those who don't, where's the fill light? Where would you put the fill light in your guys' minds? Over here, 45? Nope. 90? So, yep, like equal? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Your fill comes exactly from or straight from your camera. That's what most people don't realize. Your fill light does not come opposite to where your light is. So, Jamie, can I have you sit up there for now? And then I'll get Taylor to come out. This is where it's a little bit different from what most people don't see. Or actually, Taylor, can I have you sit up here? And Jamie, can you run power from over there? All right. So let's say this is your light right here. And Jamie, actually, could you, after you get power, could you switch me to the camera on the stream? Now, for anyone online, we'll show you guys in just a little bit. Jamie's running some power over here right now. And we'll get this out of the way. I don't have to plug it in. Just actually, we will. Go ahead and plug it in. How's it going, buddy? All right, not too bad. Actually, I need a splitter on that one. So just go ahead and switch it to. Thank you, sir. All right, so here's your typical, little light setup over here. Get a power cord for this one. All right, so when I shoot here, you guys see that little shadow detail on her right, our left, and stuff like that. Sometimes you want to fill that in. So what people would do is to fill that shadow detail, they would set up another light, like right here. The problem here is if you don't balance it correctly, you have shadow going this way, and now you have shadow going that way now too. Your subject's casting two shadows. Essentially, what you're supposed to do is you lower the light level, and you're filling in the shadow. You put it right by your camera and a little bit above. And you strengthen the light. And while you're shooting here, the reason why you're doing that is now the shadow is being created at your camera, but it's dissipating behind your subject, not creating one that you can capture. It's the fill light's weak enough where you really don't see a shadow, but it's putting light where there was darkness before. And that's it right there. A lot of people would say, okay, the fill light goes right here, 45-degree opposite, where it should be exactly right here. Because the other thing too is something that's really useful in a studio environment is as soon as you light in front of your subject, their pupils will get smaller and their iris will show up more. And you'll get more color in their iris because we want to shoot irises, not pupils. And so as soon as you have a light here, you're going to go ahead and decrease your pupil size. And it's worth it there. So essentially, for anyone who's done studio lighting, if you set up this light here, your fill is always there. You put the light behind them, and you want dramatic lighting, go ahead and look towards this light right here. And you guys see the shadows over there, but there's that. As soon as you want to fill it in, you turn this light on, and you decrease and increase the power, but it's coming directly from slightly above your camera. And so that's where the fill light goes, guys. All right, any questions? Oh, is it online? All right, guys, yeah, so this is, go ahead and Taylor, look that way, towards that light. Hopefully you guys can see it, but as soon as I turn this on, it adds more light in. And that's how you fill the lighting on them, but the camera is going to be about right here. All right, and so, one second. So when you're doing high-key lighting, fill light's extremely useful. You really don't necessarily need it if your lighting's right here. And so a fill light is if you're using or if you're really coming from a sharper than, I would say, 20-degree angle away from your subject, you may introduce one in. But the thing you'll see a lot of is, if I'm over here and I'm setting up a light, like right here, And remember, light moves in the three-dimensional space, guys. So if I set up a light right here, you guys see the results there? A lot of what people do is they go ahead and put a light on them because light is just left and right, is also up and down. And so if you have a light at an extreme height to your subject, some people are filling in the light from below, which is what you would consider clamshell setup or so forth. But can they see me over there? Yep. And so here it is without. You guys see that? Shadows underneath her chin there. And as soon as I turn this on, it fills it in. And so it continues the high key setup there. All right, and so now, guys, this setup's nice, but what's the issue with our background? Our background's not lit. And so that's what we're gonna talk about next. Let me see here. Which is the background light. Background lights, we talked about it before, but we'll go ahead and say again. Let's go ahead and set up. Let me see here. I need another power cord. Okay. And so set these two up as a background. So we'll go ahead and move that, and then we'll move that one in. All right, so background light, guys, are they illuminate the background. And here's where hopefully you guys will get something even more from this. We're going to talk about fall off. When we did dramatic lighting a few months ago, we focused on controlling light on the subject. And high key lighting, when we were doing dramatic lighting, we're like, hey, light the subject. This is what it does. This is what a grid does, and so forth. In high key lighting, now you're actually even also lighting the background. And you really don't want to control the lighting so it's just a little beam. You actually want to make it expansive and make it, actually cover the whole thing. And so something that's really important to note is fall off that occurs with lighting. When you turn on a light, let me see if I can show you guys this, but you can actually see it there. When you first turn on a light, the center, which is called the umbra, remind me if this is wrong. The center is the umbra, the outside is penumbra. You guys remember that? Does anyone? Patrick? You remember? It's actually important to know this, guys, just because when you have a modifier on your light and you first turn it on, I'll actually go ahead and show you this here, you have what's called the umbra and the penumbra. The penumbra is actually darker than the umbra. Essentially, the middle of the light is twice as bright as the outside. It falls off. It gradually falls off. This is where it's relevant and important to you guys here. And I'll go ahead and send this PowerPoint out to you guys. This was available for everyone here. Essentially, do you guys see this background on Elizabeth? You guys see what's happening with the light? It gets darker. As it gets away from the center, it gets darker. It's a vignette. And so when you're lighting a background, that same vignette happens. And so if your light's too close to the background, you're going to see it twice as bright in the middle and then gradually fall off. So if you're limited by that, what you need to do is, you guys notice on the bottom left what's happening over there? I have two umbras that are right by each other, so the penumbras are overlapping. Since it's twice as bright, you see the umbra is at F16 over there, and the penumbra is at F8. This is what happens a lot when people do background lights. This is important, guys. We'll go ahead and watch here. They will take their lights, and be honest with me, guys, whoever set this up before, or ever done this at their studio, who does this to light the background? They face this one in, and they face this one in back. Has anyone ever done that? They're all 45 degree in. The problem is you have a penumbra and an umbra, so it's twice as bright, but in the center, so now it's 4 times bright in the center, and 2 times bright on the outside. So essentially, instead of facing it directly in at a 45 degree angle, you face it straight like that, or closer to straight, and then the part that's a little bit weaker, they combine together. They were 2 on the inside, 1 on the outside. I hate saying it's math, guys. 2 plus 2 is what? 4, right? But 2, if you have 2 plus 0 is 2, 1 plus 2, 2 plus 0 is 2. You have an equal 4 going across the whole way, which is exactly what you see here. Instead of the 2 lights being 45 degrees into each other and making the center twice as bright, and the outside twice as bright also, but still darker than the center, you converge it like that where it's split apart, and you can continue this an infinite amount of times. And this is how you do a football team. If you ever see a shoot where he goes out and does a 200, like a whole field or a 50-yard shot of people, and you're wondering how come the light's here, light here, light here, and they're all straight towards the subject, it's because exactly that. Here's the umbra, here's a pen, numbers are combining together, here's the umbra, and so you can do 25 lights and then mix it together. So for those who are wondering, yes, the fall off goes up and down too, and not just left and right. And so if you wanted the perfect light, or the perfect light background, you would have one here, one here, one here, one here, and keep on covering it until you get it done correctly. For anyone who's anal about it and wants to measure it, you can measure it. You just get a light meter, and you measure here, you measure up, you measure left, and you keep on going until it measures evenly across. There's a lot of give. I mean, your variance might be like 0.1. That's perfectly fine as long as you're not completely hacked. And so one of the things that modifiers do that they'll tell you is some modifiers will actually say doesn't create, or the center is not as dark as the outside. Or for anyone who's ever seen a softbox, have you guys ever wondered why the middle of your softbox has that little panel that doesn't cover the whole thing? That's because the middle is absorbing more light than the outside, and that's their way of equalizing the light through the whole softbox. So as soon as you take that middle portion off, it's a lot brighter in the center and a little bit darker on the outside. Or it's brighter in the center. All right, guys. So does that make sense to everyone there? And that's the critical part. That's the important part, because when you guys are setting this up, it's boring. That's the thing. I love this lighting, but it's really boring. And so you get the background. And Jamie, I guess there's no other slide after this, so we'll take a little bit of a break in just a second. Let me make sure there's none. Okay. It's boring, but it's actually one of those things where a lot of people get nervous about it, how to set up a pure white shot. And it is light intensive, relatively easy. Everything just faces the background. So one of the things I didn't have on a PowerPoint, but I will share, is what you may have noticed is, there's these lights over here, and light can spill onto your subject. So I think those might be it. Jamie, can you grab those two, or those big black and white bolts? For anyone who has a studio space, what you want to invest in looking into is what's called flags. And these are big boards that you put up. Our little, Jamie, over there, are these guys? No, the huge foam core boards. And this is all about light control here, but let's say you don't want the light to hit your subject. That's being casted by these guys back here. So that's an 800. So this one is not, this one's a flag, but it's also called a V-flat. And so what we'll do is actually, it goes like this, and the reason why you have it go this way is because you don't want the light to hit your camera either. As soon as stray light hits your camera, it creates less contrast. So to optimize your image quality, you cover it that way. All right, let's see here. And guys online, let me show you guys. We're setting it up now. Sorry about that. So those are V-flats you see there. They're little foam core boards that are going up. And it stops the stray light from hitting the camera and hitting the subject from the back. All right. So before I take any shots, guys, you guys see kind of the results that you're getting with that? The whole background's illuminated, but the foreground or your subject isn't. The problem here is your back are, if you want even lighting, you all of a sudden have to light, her or light the floor and all that. But in the case here, we're flagging the lights, and let's go ahead and turn this one on. I don't want to hit it. Am I safe over there, Jimmy? All right. Is that one plugged in? Yep. Channels it on. Put this on channel 11. No, that's weird. It's always a frequency or channel that I have no idea what they're based on. There you go. Right. And so in this case, we have the background lights hitting, and we have a foreground light hitting too. I'll go ahead and take a shot. I am a lazy ass photographer now. And why I say that is I don't really measure things. I don't say, oh, you know, this is what it is. For those who haven't met me before or don't know me, for those who do, bear with me. There was a long time ago a chef named Justin Wilson that was on PBS. And when he was cooking, if he required a precise measurement, a cup was like the palm of his hand plus something. You know, he was never exact. That's how I am when it comes to photography. Don't see me here saying, oh, this is a recipe. I don't bake, I cook. You know, that's the thing. So, you know, I'll just mess with what's given to me and base it there. So like this, I don't know what the settings are, but I have a gut feeling it's ISO 100 f8. And that's ISO 100 f8. So it's just one of those things where I'm not tethered yet. So, and the reason why I thought it was ISO 100 f8 is because I set up all the lights and I messed with all the numbers. And so I just put it to where it should be. I guess that comes from just shooting for a while too. I don't know. But all right. So here it is. And let you guys look at it. Simple, easy, right guys? 2 lights in the background. And essentially this light's triggering all the others. And online I will show you guys a picture in just a little bit. Eyes right at me. Good old Photoplex walls, which are a little bit off. That's fine. All right, so turn this way just a little bit. So I like the way it looks. The background's being lit. I'll show you guys this in just a second. Look up towards the light. And eyes right here. Okay, step back just a little bit. All right, guys, let me show you these shots that I just took. So we have 3 lights set up, 2 in the background for the background light, and then 1 in the foreground. All right, so let's go to screen share, full screen, start screen share. All right, so the pictures that we just took, there you go. Nice bright light. Background is lit pretty well, lit evenly. So that's the general idea. This is white flash or flash white balance. For some reason at Photoplex, I find the walls really salmon-y or pink in color. I have no idea why. So this is auto white balance over here, which is slightly cooler. And then for those, I'll go ahead and drop it where, for those who don't know me, I shoot in studio in black and white. The reason why I do that is because in black and white, you see how light falls on your subject. Color is the easiest thing to fix out of lighting and color. And so no, I don't want to say I could fix it in post, but if I had to choose the lesser of 2 evils, lighting is a lot harder to fix in post than color is. And so when I shoot black and white in camera, I shoot RAW plus JPEG. And so my JPEG files are all black and white. My RAW files are always in color. If I go to here, and this is a RAW file for this is 2114, and then I open that with Picasa Photo Viewer, it's going to load up black and white, but then change to color. And so for those who don't know that, that's why I shoot RAW plus JPEG. All right. And so I'll do a few more. Something we'll add in a little bit because it's high key lighting. There really isn't anything like difficult about this one. Let me go back to. Sure. No, it's actually that's a great question, Leo. The ideally high key is essentially in studio. It tends to be on a brighter background. It could be of any color, but it tends to be on a brighter one because if we're going for what I consider the technical definition, your histogram is favoring the right-hand side. When your background, your dominant background, is a darker color, it's going to show majority on the left-hand side. Personally, I find high-key lighting. This is my definition of it, guys. Flat, shadowless lighting. That is great for portraiture, for families. It's great for like animals if you're not doing anything that's older people, stuff like that. It's really it's flattering light, and that's what I consider it. A high key, and this is where the weird part is. The definition varies. Like you go from one side and they say high key lighting is all blown out images and stuff like that. And you look at the examples, you're like, that's not high key. That's just blown out stuff. That's it. And on the other hand, there's like high key lighting is all your shadow detail. And with me, high key lighting, my pure definition of high key lighting, guys, goes back to why it was invented, which was TV sitcoms. It's uniformed light where, even on, have you guys shot on a flat, cloudy day where like everywhere is well lit? I consider that in the point with lighter background, high key lighting. And so that's my mindset there. It varies, but that's how I perceive it. All right, so these. Mm-hmm.
I read somewhere that instead of your background,
Mm-hmm.
about this stuff, like the foreground,
Mm-hmm.
your background is not necessarily black.
Yep, that is very true. That's why for anyone who has a studio and you only have one roll that you can put up, gray. If your background is gray and you light it 2 stops brighter, don't light it at all, it's going to appear. And if you light it evenly, it appears gray. If we take, Jamie, help me. If we take this background right here, can you grab that? It looks like it's going to go one way, this way. We're going to try make this pure white. Funny part is you can. It's not actually that difficult, but it really depends on the power level of your lights. You look great. So what I need your guys' help, since there's not a high level of variance on what we're going to do. Ask me questions. Ask me real-world examples. We'll set it up, even if it's closely related to high key. Show you a clamshell setup. We'll show everything essentially with a white background. This is your chance to go ahead and ask me, hey Trent, I've seen this before. What is this? And we'll set it up. So in this case, we have a background. We're going to light it. All right, so that's an Alien B400 on that side, right? Over there, full power over there, or is it half? Go ahead and, is it a Alien B400 though? Yep. Go ahead and put it on full. All right, so we have a black background. We're going to go ahead and do this. Turn this guy off. Or not off, but turn it this way. All right, at F8, I think it's going to appear grayish, if not black. All right, so it's grayish. Obviously, we're going to have to go up to a higher power. All right, so there you go. It's F2. All right. Now, guys, I'm at ISO. I mean, it's a black background. I'm at ISO 200 at f2.0. So, you know, obviously using a black background to go pure white isn't the most ideal thing in the world. But you can, if you needed to, stand up. That one didn't. I don't have the triggers for those. Oh, shit. There you go. No. It's funny though. This one's lighting her enough off the floor. You don't have your CyberSyncs on you, do you, Patrick? Yeah. You know what? Never mind. I'll just grab this one. The thing is, there's so much spill coming from the back, it's going to light her a little bit. So we'll see if it works correctly. Come forward a little bit. Go right there. All right, so that's a plain black or pure black background where you lit it enough where it turned white. So essentially, that's the idea. Face this way and step back just a little bit. But the only issue here is this is not really what I consider high key because we're lighting. Well, it's getting there, but it's blown out. But essentially, we took a black background and we lit it bright enough and became pure white. If it was gray, do you guys see where gray would be the ideal if you only had one? For those who are over there, this is the shot where it's a pure black background, where now it's white. And so, Jamie, let's go ahead and move that background out. And get this out of the way. All right, so continuing further, and online I'll show you guys that in just a little bit. Sure. Uh-huh. Most people try to do it. Mostly if you're doing a headshot, you don't necessarily have to worry about two lights. They'll put the light behind the subject. It helps there. But something to know is the closer the light is into the back, you'll see the fall off. And so if you're only dealing with one light, let's say if you guys are caught in a very difficult situation where you only have two lights, but they want a high key background, the background away, the more evenly it's going to spill out on the background. The closer you are, like if I bring this light in, you guys will see it immediately. Jimmy, can you hold that? I'm not done, but just showing. So you guys see it covering now. It's not perfectly even. The closer I get to the background, the faster the fall off shows up. You guys see that? So if you set up a light, you set it up out here, that's a lot more even on the background. And that's the idea there. So if you're caught in that situation, the problem is when you do that, now if you're standing right here, you don't have that space. This light's going to go ahead and hit them when you don't want it to hit them. That's where a flag comes in. The further you have the light from the background, the more you need a flag, or more likely you need to flag it. So what you'll see at a lot of studios is they'll have their roll of paper, and then about 8 to 10 feet away, they'll set up a background light. They'll set up a background light, or 6 feet away, depending on that, and then they'll always flag it. Yep, and flag and block that stray light from your subject, or going around. And so, in this case right here, guys, we'll go ahead and set up background lights. So let me see that one, Jamie. All right, so we don't have a main light, and then online I'll show you guys adjust a little bit. So we're going to go back to f8, ISO 100. And come up a little bit more forward. And so actually this will show you guys the effect of the flag and not, because I didn't flag it all the way. Move slightly back. You guys see her left arm? That's where the flag isn't working. And so that's my bad there because it's spilling. We want the background lit, but we don't want her lit. So the background's still lit here, but now her arms are in shadows. And so the reason why that's important is the background light's meant for the background, not for the subject. So when I shoot this, it's going to show up more as a silhouette. There's some bounce back where it's kind of giving her a little bit of light. And so I'll go ahead and put that on the screen and show you guys. Hopefully you guys can see that over there online. You guys will see this in just a second. All right, so right there, and the background's actually, I could probably expose it a little bit brighter if I wanted to, because it looks like it's a little bit dark, but essentially that's the beginning of the high key, and this is when it was pure black, and we made it bright there. So this is how it looks without illuminating the background, and that's how it is when we just illuminated the background with light. All right, so we have that going. So I'm going to go to ISO 125. Go back to this. All right. Jamie, can you take this power cord and plug it into the splitter? Thank you. Perfect. And figure out if there's another softbox. Can you find another buff softbox? All right. And same here. The closer it is to your subject, the faster it falls off. So if you're able to go ahead and put your softbox a little bit further away from your subject, the more it's going to evenly light your subject. If I'm this close, go ahead and step a little bit forward too. If I'm this close, guys, what you'll notice is the lighting looks great, but as soon as I get close to her, it's going to get darker a lot faster as it goes down. This is something you'll notice at like places like the Picture People and so on, is the light's actually really not close to them. It's a lot further away. The further you get it away, yes, it's not as soft, but it's now even more evenly distributed. And so when I do this and I lift it up, sorry, it's a little bit more evenly distributed on her. And so if you're wondering why 7-foot softboxes like that exist, a lot of times it's not where you can get right by your subject, but you can have the same soft quality light, but move the light further away so it hits, you know, more evenly across. And so in this case, we'll shoot here, take a shot, jump over here and join you guys because I'm a lazy ass right now. And so this looks, it's a little bit slightly bright, but all right, guys, I'll go ahead and show you guys this. So I moved the light slightly back. Remember that. This is critical, guys. This is one of the things, I know kind of casually glance on it. Remember it until the end of days. If you want more even light, move your light back. If you want more dramatic light, move your light closer to your subject. The further it's back, the more evenly distributed it gets, but also the harsher the light source does get. So if you have a choice, if you have a huge studio and you can go 6 feet or you can go 16 feet back, get a bigger lights, get a bigger softbox because you can always get in closer. But if you have a small studio, a small softbox might be the only thing you have. But if you bring it too far back, your light source is going to get a little bit more, or your shadows are going to get a little bit more well defined. But that's nitpicky. All right, so in this case right here, not games. We just took this one shot, and there you go, guys. Nice, super quick setup. I honestly really wish it was like super hard, but it really isn't, guys. There's shadow there that's being casted by her. But if you guys were going to set this up on your own, it's actually really not that difficult on the a high key lighting setup for that one. There is shadow detail there, so we're going to go ahead and fill it in. Let's get that going, Jamie. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Whoa. What is going? Oh, is that you? Yeah. Yep. Go ahead and do that. That is true, and I like. It's actually in Apple products and Amazon products. Part of their post-processing setup is to add a fake shadow into it because their light setup is so uniform that sometimes they're erasing shadows. So post-processing wise, they'll add it back in. Which reminds me, anyone offended by the Amazon thing? I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and say this. Because they are protecting themselves against, whatchamacallit, what are patent trolls. Essentially, if a person buys a patent to say they've shot on white, they can sue Amazon for every picture they've ever taken from that point on. And so the reason why I'm not offended by it is there's no way in hell Amazon could ever prove your setup. Ever. Because there's so many, because it is. No, it's not. It's the Amazon patent. For those who don't know, who aren't aware of this, Amazon patented a white light setup. But they were like, this is where the product is. This is where light A is, B, C, D, and E. And it's always exactly there when we shoot it. And so when you're taking a picture, who here takes pictures of their light setup? If Amazon sues you, that's because you were too thorough and you showed where all your lights were. And you put up 12 pictures that showcased your whole studio. And it was exactly, with a ruler, mind you, that says this is exactly where it was, and I looked at the patent and I copied it. And more than likely, they're not going to sue you. And so that's why I'm not offended by it, because there's a lot of art people who are like, oh, you can patent on white. The only thing I'm offended by is that it got to the point where patent trolls can sue for it. That's like the worst thing there. So, all right, so we're good here. Let me look for something, guys. Glad you can make it. So, Jamie, can you look for the white? Oh, I didn't bring the camera. I'm sorry.
No. What are you triggering?
Oh no, we're gonna do. I need the white whiteboard that goes on the floor.
Okay.
So if you can find one. All right, guys. So we have a fill light here. We're gonna fill in the shadows just a little bit. Turn this guy on. Turn it on to make sure. Yeah. So this one goes right close to where the camera's coming from. It's obviously in the way, but oh well. Yeah. Jump on back. Oh, no carding camera. My luck. It's because it's up here. Showing. Yes. It should probably be flush by a wall somewhere too, Jamie. Check out back there somewhere over there. The white boards that go down for reflectivity. All right, perfect. Look up towards light. Which one? No, no, no. It's the long, the 4x8. Yeah. All right. Is there one here? Yeah. Put that underneath her, going long ways. My luck. Picked up the one that's a little bit busted. And that towards the back towards her. So. All right. All right, guys. So there's a little bit of a fill light in. It's not adding too much in, so I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. And a little bit back toward me. Yeah, just a little bit back. And a little more. Oh, right there. Perfect. It is. I think it is Lexan, or I don't remember. It's like $7. Yeah, Home Depot. And so, all right. And so, what that adds, actually, guys, is a little bit of reflectivity. And let me see if I can. I'm actually going to change my lens real quick. I like your 100, Patrick. If anyone's interested in a 100 millimeter lens, Patrick's selling his. That's what I'm using right there. How much are you asking for, Patrick? 3. Yeah, it's a 100 2.0 if anyone's interested. So, all right. Yeah. Okay. Look up towards the light. Perfect. Smiles right here. Looking good. Show you guys this. Just a second. So there's a little bit of a shadow back there still. So what I'll probably do is aim that back right light. No. Yep. So that's a little foam core, or sorry, the little core in the back with a little bit of a fill that's added in there. And what we're going to do is I'm going to troubleshoot this. What I think it's causing that back there is this one needs to be slightly adjusted in and right here. Line on the floor, but also just a little bit more fill jumping in. So I'm not going to turn it up any, but I think it was just light position where it's slightly off. So, but you guys see that the slight reflection that's being added in by including that. So it's really one of those things where a lot of people go ahead and buy a bunch of those for their studio too. It's a lot easier than buying plexiglass, which is about, I would say, $220 for that size. Where this guy is only about 10, 15 bucks. So, all right, stand on up. There you go. It's a lot better. I think I'm getting the Reese Witherspoon vibe tonight. So how much of a stretch do you need to do the Scorpion? I want to see something crazy where these guys are like, what the hell? And well, not that. I don't want you to fall over. What the? I should turn sideways. And what I want you to do is, I like that, face this way. Count of 3, you're going to spin that way. Yeah. But look right at me while you're spinning, and don't fall. All right, 1, 2, there you go. Yeah, I'm gonna count down. 1, 2, 3. All right. Looking good. And again, 1, 2, 3. All right. I'll show this off, but what I would do is actually balance the light a little bit more. And the way you balance it, guys, is over here, what's occurring is my distance from the background and stuff like that. What you can do is you can mess around with it where you move your subject from the background a little bit. And because the issue I'm having here is the floor is not being lit as well as the background right now. And so, give me a sec. Let me see if I can show you guys. Oh, let's get that. So that's the picture with her spinning, and let me online make sure I can show them. Right there. So that's a picture of her spinning. The floor isn't necessarily that bad. It's one of those things you could post-process. But what I'm going to further do is, if I can have you step back, is as mentioned, move this light back and move this light back and a little bit up. And because I'm moving the light back, the intensity has gone down, so I'm going to have to adjust my exposure a little bit. But after doing that, let's go ahead. That's a cute picture of her. So let's see if I can show them. So guys, I moved the lighting back for anyone who's online. And what we're going to aim for is it distributing the light a little bit more evenly. I like F8, so I'm going to go ahead and up my ISO a little bit. Did I realize, is Rodney here? No, no wonder it's so quiet. I missed the guy. So it's a little bit better, perfect. Actually, Jamie, let's go ahead and move it back just a little bit more, because I actually want to, the edge is right on the cusp of where, towards the back. There you go. So, sorry guys, online, microphone off. There you go. No. No. So, yeah. All right, look towards that light. Perfect. So now I'm adjusting ISO 160, guys. I moved the light back to even it out a little bit more. And I think that fixed our problem. And so I'll show you guys. It's a mixture of two things. We move the particle board back, and so you guys could visually see where it kind of blurred into the background. But also we were having an issue where the floor was a little bit darker than above, and that's when I told you guys the closer it's into your subject, the more you're going to see fall off. So when we move the light back, what we were hoping for is to eliminate the fall off. So let me show you guys the results. The initial shot was this, where if you look carefully, you guys can see that over here and stuff like that. When we moved it back, that's what happened. So when we moved it back and we moved the particle board back, now this is evenly lighting it even more. Both the fill and this is evenly lighting it more. Get that out of the way. And you can barely see. I mean, you can still see on the very edges because of the difference in the reflectivity of the board and so on. But going ahead and removing that is relatively easy. You can see the edges, but it's pretty much, it looks like she is, you know, either floating or it looks like she's modeling a product. And so one of the benefits I forgot for high key lighting is this is critically important, guys, and it's one of those wacky things. The first thing you do when you do a shoot is always define what your viewers are going to see to yourself. And so if you're hired to take pictures of clothing, what's the most important thing that shows up in the photo? The clothing or the subject, guys? It's the clothing, or it's equal emphasis. In a case here where I'm more of a portrait shooter, the clothing is secondary, and it's more of the subject, so I concentrate on lighting the subject more and not the clothing. In a case like this, it's really flat lighting, and it emphasizes both. And so the cool thing about this is it's extremely cookie cutter. Now, as long as there's slight variances per, depending on the skin tone and so on of your subject, but you have this huge atmosphere of light, or this huge environment of light, and you just sit over there and you have your subject change, and you just keep on shooting. You've created this, this little this lighting globe here that you don't really have to mess with as much. So in this case, now I'm going to go ahead and work with the subject and do a few different poses where I'm going to go in and out. Actually, Jamie, can you go ahead and put it on screen? All right, so stay right there, but look towards me. Hands on your back. Perfect. Smiles. Eyes right here. So what I've seen a lot of studios do is they actually just leave the setup up, because now it goes from a full body that you guys saw before to half body to a headshot. And so if you've ever seen, like, this is where one of those things, has anyone ever met a photographer who said they were a photographer for 25 years, but they don't know how to do anything? I know it sounds weird saying that. I'm not making fun of them. It's because this is what it was. They set up their studio the first time. It was a magic thing where they never had to change it. And what I love about those guys, a lot of them, is they actually want to rekindle the passion of it. So a lot of them will come to me and they're like, hey, what are all these various other things? Because I was a photographer for 25 years, but it's also different. The funny part is it was all the same, but this was the easy, consistent cookie cutter thing where you go in, you go out. It's the same way of people who say, I'm a natural light shooter. You hopefully I'm at a certain time. So this is really easy. I'm trying to find a step stool. Is there one back there? Or not, a step ladder? No. If you guys can do me a favor, grab those white squares for me. Jamie, can you help with this? Get the white squares. Let's see if there's a step ladder. Oh. I know you guys online can still hear me. I'm in the back looking for something, so. Looks like I can stand this. I'll do that. Thanks for bearing with me, guys, online. This is pretty fun. I'm talking about myself in the back to the people online because they can still hear me. All right, so go ahead and have a seat. All right. Look up towards me. Looking good. Getting a little bit closer. All right. Eyes right here. Put your head this way just a little bit. Finals. All right. And the reason why I'm up here, guys, everyone can feel it when you're taking a picture of someone. You guys have heard Peter Hurley say this, and it's really good. When I'm looking straight at you and my neck's like this, it's resting. If I look down, I get double chin. If I look up, my jawline's defined. And so one of the things that he says, and hopefully he won't sue me for saying this, hopefully he's like Amazon do anything, is if you take their head and you pretend to move it forward like this, it defines the jawline. Well, sometimes easy to tell people if you want to stand up. But one of the other ways you can immediately do it, you just stand on top of something, and everyone just look up, like pretend you're looking at something. You can feel your jaws thin out. And so that's why we do that. That's why we jump up on this, because the other benefit you have is as soon as your subject stares at a light, their eyes brighten up, because the light's hitting their eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that one. Actually, go ahead and look right here. Look down, chin down. All right, so neither is wrong, and in Taylor's situation, she's thin, so she doesn't really need the benefits from it. But I'm going to show you guys position of the light, how it varies from when I had her looking up and down. She's curious. And Jamie's just in the back spinning. Ever so slowly. Alright. So that's her looking up a little bit. She was smiling. Oh, shoot. What is this? And this is, so it's a slight definition where it's really small, but here's one and here's the other. And the shadow detail actually is even less on, because she's looking right at the light and it's flattening out. So it's one of those things I suggest if you guys are ever shooting, doing quick headshots, bring a little step ladder. Go and buy a $15 step ladder and just have it just in case. And you can get different results. One of the other things too, I teach this in my portraiture class, is there is a psychological difference of seeing this shot and seeing this one. When you're looking down at someone, they look friendlier. They look more even, and if someone's above you, if I shot her from below, the girl is 5 foot, 4 foot 13, So, how tall are you? 4 foot 14, and she looks tall. Here. Well, you're also tall because of the angle. It's one of those things where you shoot someone slightly below. They look, if you ever look at a Fortune 500 magazine and anything like that, you'll almost rarely ever see, unless a CEO wants to look friendly, of them being shot from above. It's either eye level or below. And so it's one of those things there. So, all right, so this looks cool. The position of the light in the eyes, if you guys notice, it's more centered here. It really depends on taste, and it's a little bit higher above over here. Some people even like it where it's not, the catch lights aren't really in there. For anyone who's wondering, yes, there's some people who ask, is having 2 catch lights bad? I don't think so, but some people prefer only having one. So if you're using multiple lights, it's one of those things that you'll notice. All right, so continuing on with this, guys, I'm going to show a few more things, and then we're going to let you guys shoot. Any questions? No, not really. It's a bigger light source, but I do take that into consideration. One of the things that actually I did adjust here is because I thought it may have blocked it, because this one is when I was standing up, and that's the brightness level. This was ISO 160, and I tried, I thought it was a little bit, or actually it was 125, and I thought it was dark, so I did up it to 200. But you could block it, but it's never really that major, and so I'll vary my ISO levels to fix that. All right, so going back to this, guys, let me show another one with high key lighting. Oh, bless you. All right. So we're keeping that background there, guys. Go ahead and stand up. And you guys see the fall off issue, but we're going to do more of a headshot here. So let me see. There it is. Let me jump over here, sorry. Grab this guy. Grab this guy. All right, so this is your typical clamshell setup. And we'll move this one in a little bit closer on a high key background. And guys, so you guys can visually see what it is. For a subject with a thinner face and so on, this is really cool because it's really flat lighting and it really shows you the width of their face. If you have a subject that has a wider face like me, it makes you look a lot wider. But in this case, it's a really nice fashiony type look. Going out. Perfect. Why is it so bright? Maybe I want closer on this one. Look this way. Turn your body this way. Well, and then eyes right here. Chin. Eyes right here. I'm getting that. Okay. All right. And I'm actually going to lower this light a little bit more. Because I moved these lights in so much closer and I didn't adjust the tower, the background is actually darkening a little bit. And so we're going to cheat and move these back. Jamie, can you move that one back? 1.5 feet. Towards the wall. Okay. Perfect. Look towards the light. Look up. Too bright. Eyes right here. Chin down. A little blind. All right. And so the clamshell is in and out, but actually, if I can have, let me see if I can show you how this guy looks. Jamie, can you see if you can find the one that's a little bit smaller? Actually, or you know what? Bring that box over here and stand on it. It'll be easier to do it this way. Okay, so this is super dramatic, guys, but at least you guys will see the effect of it. And sometimes you have to do it this way, so let me see here. Friggin' ow. I'm waiting for this to fly up and just knock her off and create this like amazing disaster that should be captured on camera. No, I like this risk. Oh. Too high? I can't tell. Oh, goodness. All right. Perfect. All right. So if you look towards them, you guys can probably see how it looks right there. And with this guy, turn this off for now. Perfect. Step in, or lean in. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, let's wait for this one to turn back on. All right, so something people try to do, but it really never is this way, guys, is a clamshell isn't the same power on the bottom as it is on top. Then it visually looks like that. Or so on, like, so it's on a clamshell setup, your bottom's like half power. and your top is full or whatever you want it to be. So, all right. So now, pretty much, yeah, you want to avoid that. So, let me see here. Jump in. All right. Whoa. That's cute. All right. Not safe. I was right here. All right, let me show a few of these. The clamshell you can actually really see. You can see in the subject eyes, and then I'll show you one more setup, one that I love using right after this. Using a fully lit background, still using 2 lights. So it's a little bit bright. The background could be a little bit brighter, but that's here. So you guys can see the reflection on the top, or in her eyes, and also on the bottom. So that's your typical clamshell. That's great. I'm gonna leave that one up. So, all right. So I'm gonna show you guys one more setup, and then I'm gonna let you guys shoot some full bodies and stuff like that. First of all, any questions? You guys are Wednesday ones are always so quiet. You guys really never. You're soaking it all in. I will say this: if you guys owe a membership fee, talk to Jamie or talk to Patrick. This is where it's honor system, guys. If you've bought a membership last year and it's roughly that time, we don't know if it expired. Honestly, you're not in trouble if it did expire, but if you think it's time where you guys owe us, go ahead and just pay, or don't pay and just pay next time. But if you're completely new here and you haven't paid online yet, I'll take cash or check or a credit card. But essentially, just remember the first day you paid. And it'll tell you online too if you've been a member for a while, but we're not really critical about it. The only thing is, did anyone here learn anything that they weren't expecting to get out of a free course? That's the idea behind it, guys. We're not going to half-ass any of these ever. And so if you like photography education and you want to make it available to members, that's what the membership fee is. To bring people in, stuff like that, we're never going to half-ass it. That's my promise to you guys. We're going to give quality education, but that's how we support it too. So if you owe a membership fee or if you need to renew it, please do. All right, so I'm going to have you sit back down over there. All right, Jamie, was there another softbox anywhere, or was that another round one? Yeah, we're going to avoid that. So, actually, we're going to do something a little bit different. Another high key one, but Jamie, can you take the flags off? Perfect. Sorry, what was that? That guy has them. Yeah. So, but I don't think. Did you use the newer flash at all? No. No, but did you use the cheaper strobe? Did it work? All right. He can answer. It's one of those things where I just gave it to Jamie. I was like, here, take it. So, let's stand up. So this is really neat, guys. This is another headshot setup that I'm just going to show you guys that we're going to do with a high key background. What I want you to do is look in her eyes. It looks pretty cool. That's the reflection we're going to get. But the difference we're going to get on this one is, you guys are going to notice it, is we're only using one light to light the background. Unfortunately, it's on a boom safely over her. And so there you go. All right, so let me show online what we're talking about here, guys. I just set up pretty much the two soft boxes that were on the background. I set up in closer, and then this light we moved in. What's really cool is if I brought the camera up to her, you guys could really see. But we're gonna go ahead and shoot some. All right. I think I may have upped the power in the back too much, but. All right, turn this way. And now eyes towards me. Smiles. Too bright. Get in a little bit closer. Hey, Jamie. Let's see here. Can you find something where we can wrap her up? What is that? It's her sweater. Let me see that. I know it seems a little bit silly, but actually, let me find something real quick, guys. Not just yet. Hi guys, online. Sorry about this. We're looking for. Something a little bit brighter to wrap around her. So. I have no idea what this is. So actually we're going to take that off because I want a brighter color. If you guys is more high key. So I have no idea what this is. It's clean. You look like a white mage. That's a Final Fantasy reference right there. I said she looked like a white mage. All right, eyes right here. Chin down. Yep. So if you guys stand up and you guys look, you guys can see the lighting in her eyes. That's what this setup is. But let me show you guys real quick. All right, so what we did is we put the two lights of roughly equal power, so it's really flat lighting. And these are quick and easy, so it's not exactly 100% what I want, but it's a start. Oh, 1 second. Ew, why is it taking so long? All right. And so you could see the lighting in her eyes right there. That one, actually, I prefer more when you're doing without the backlight, where it's straight black because of the drama that comes from it, but it's a really nice, neat light setup where you can have the two there if you want to do it from the side rather than from up and above. I do it for more dramatic looking lighting and not as much of a fashion type look or a full body look there. All right, guys. So anyone online, that's pretty much it for the high key lighting. It's really nice and simple. Send me any message or send me any questions that you guys have. If you're here in the future, try to make it because I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions they have while also allowing them to shoot for the next hour or so. All right, guys, online, take care. Catch you guys next time.